Hello and welcome. I want to thank you all for joining this new interview, which will take place with Ondřej. I'm glad you could make it today. Andrew, how are you?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for having me.
You are welcome. Okay, let's start then. Can I ask you, could you briefly introduce yourself, who you are, what you do when you're not trading? Basically, who's here to talk to us today?
Of course, I'll introduce myself. So my name is Andrew. I'm just an ordinary person, not a specialist, not a businessman. My profession, I'm not really focused at the moment. I graduated from an agricultural school, but I never worked in agriculture. I worked in a variety of foreign countries, most notably for a long time in Germany. Otherwise, nowadays, I work in education, but not so much in the school system per se. It's at the Educational Institute. And at the moment, I've been trading for maybe 6 years, but nothing too active. I always kind of gather some information, and mostly I try to expand my education. I read a lot about trading, watch videos, and in some way your company appealed to me the most.
We are very pleased with this and definitely appreciate it. You have already traded directly with us on your EverTrader account, and you have even received your first payment. Firstly, please let me know the size of the account you traded on, and if you can recall the size of the payout.
So yes, I'm trading on a $100,000 account, and the first payout, because it was December and at the end of the year, I haven't entered any big trades. The total payout was something like $740, minus the 20%, of course. So I was very surprised at the speed with which you actually transferred the payout to my account. I was really expecting it to take maybe weeks or more. It was instantaneous, pretty much just after entering that order.
I'm glad. That's great to hear. And of course, if things get even better for you and your account, the progressive plan will allow you to earn extra income by increasing your total account capital and of course, improving the profit split in your favor as well. I'd certainly be interested to know how long you've actually been trading, like if I put it in terms of not really try and fail, but actually trading a strategy and having a plan. Let's call it a proper trading technique.
As I said at the beginning, I'm not a pro trader, not at all. Like probably everyone, I've managed to both make and lose some money. That is when I've traded on a live. Others also call it a real account, which I guess is an important experience. It's going to discourage some people. But for me, it's the experience. It makes me watch the losses a little bit more, which incredibly helps. In that area particularly, your trading journal helps a lot. Total game changer.
That makes me very happy. I'm sure I'll get to it a little bit more because I'll be interested to see what perhaps you use most of it. And so you've mentioned here that you've burnt an account before, as I say, and I say it with great fondness too. Everybody here will tell me anyone who hasn't burnt an account is as if they hadn't started properly trading yet. Because that is exactly what separates the successful trader from the unsuccessful one, is whether he gets discouraged by one failure or learns from it and moves on. And you put it very nicely there, that you learned from it and you found out where maybe were some mistakes, maybe there were some mistakes regarding the risk or watching the risk. So what were your beginnings like? How did you start? What made you think, I'll try to make a tradition out of this? What motivated you?
I don't know. I just suddenly started watching different videos on different channels about trading. I started watching, and I don't know if I can name one specific trader here, a pro from the Czech Republic. He has a very interesting style. I don't know if I can name Ludwig.
Sure, do it.
Ludwig Turek it is. I've also been on his live stream a couple of times. Firstly, I have been on his webinar, but also directly on a seminar afterwards. Anyway, he's probably really hard to follow because his language is very complex. It's funny, but I think I've learned a lot from him. Otherwise, I've been watching Dominik Kovrik from time to time, and he's been trading mostly options, which interests me a lot, but I'm still somehow trying to educate myself in this topic and spin my head around it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That means that your beginnings were only after you started to look around at trading topics and then you started studying purposefully, and only after that you started actually trading. I know we talked for a while before and you said that unless you had at least a little bit of a feeling that you were totally getting it, you wouldn't start. So if I understand correctly, you went this way. I'm going to get a good feel for it first, go through some courses, some seminars, and then I'm going to get into it, either trading or investing. I didn't even ask if you really prefer just trading or if you maybe invest in some longer term trades as well.
Well, just trading so far, But like you said, I've been studying it a lot. But of course, I've tried some demo accounts first, which might be a good way to learn how to operate on the platform and stuff around it. But if the real money isn't there, it doesn't give you as much relative experience. The psychology of trading is the most important thing, and a demo account will not allow you to go through that, because you can set up like $1 million account, and as long as it's not real money, you're working with money that you can lose. It's probably not going to do you much good.
Can I, if I'm getting this right, I understand that this was maybe the reason you actually mentioned at the beginning that on the live account, you managed to burn that one. And of course, there's a big difference between live account and a prop account, like an EverTrader account, where you work with a prop firm. And then there's a big difference between a demo account. The psychology plays a huge role there. And I think that really made the difference. Demo account, you really don't care. And that's where everyone thrives. That's where everybody always says that's where it is easy. I'm going to try the same strategy with my real account. Unfortunately, that doesn't end well most of the times. And such a beautiful, I think, intermediate step when actually the psychology is already under some pressure. Let's say we have to think about it, but at the same time, we don't have the total line there yet. A step where we have the capital available, which is just, for example, the EverTrader account. Was that part of the reason you bought the EverTrader account at that time?
The offer is unreal when you offer such a big cap, where the risk of trading is actually much lower than if one trades with capital, let's say 5,000 USD. Of course, one has to risk quite a bit to get any profit. But if you can trade with $100,000, that's where the risks are. And even more, especially if you're not the one providing the $100,000, much lower. One still has to be careful not to make any mistakes and fall over.
I understand it always plays a role there. The psychology, as you mentioned it is extremely important.
That's the most important thing. I believe it's absolutely the most important.
I get it. A lot of traders say that, and I always receive all kinds of information, but every opinion always meets at psychology. Let me ask you, Ondřej, do you have a particular trading strategy, a particular style that you use on this EverTrader account?
So I try to trade mostly in the direction of some longer term trends. Style, I usually wait for some candlestick pattern, something, I don't know, like a pin bar or something like that when it's formed. For something like that, I like to trade gaps, you could call it market dips, where the market's coming back into it. But again, I'm trying to go in the direction of that trend, some longer term trends mostly, because the market can easily come back after 2 months easily.
Tell me more about how you managed to pass EverTrader Evaluation. What contributed to it? Was it more trades or just the strategy you're talking about, or was it something else entirely?
Of course, something was the strategy. But anyways, part of it was obviously the psyche. Man, it's good that you have some kind of fee there, because if a person came to it completely for free, then again, we wouldn't be risking anything, and that wouldn't be right. So that's a good thing for psyche training. Having own money there helps in that way. One has to make a little bit more responsible choices.
What markets are you focusing on? What are the most enjoyable markets for you?
Most probably stock indices in the European and American markets. Occasionally some commodities, oil, gold, silver, and rarely currency pairs. Mostly the ones related to dollars. But only rarely I'm focused on currency pairs.
And then coming back to your success, actually to your payout, did you trade on these exact markets that we're talking about or somewhere else?
I think it was just the stock indices, maybe some commodities here and there. I'm not sure right now.
That information is just for me because I'm always interested in that when we do interviews. The thing is, a person may abandon his original strategy a bit, which eventually brings him back to square one over time. Most of the time he finds that it was just luck, for example, and I wondered if something similar has happened to you.
You know, I don't rely on any luck at all, and I'm really convinced that if you're not mentally well, you shouldn't be in front of that monitor in the first place. I've tried that many times, and every time it convinced me that this is absolutely the truth. And really, you have to take the market, in a sense. That the market's always right. You can't convince yourself that it's going to be right decision this second, that the market will go in my direction. When I see it going the other way, I try to get out of the trade as soon as possible.
Yes.
Even though I have set, of course, the risk management rules, but sometimes I leave the market early. So this might be my fault, maybe a little bit more than I previously thought, even if the market goes my direction and it reaches a position where I like the profit. I leave even earlier than I have set to take profit action. And it still always climbs to that level.
Yes, of course, there's that natural break. But on the other hand, a former trader told me that she feels a bit more greedy at times when she says to herself, this could be the moment, but I'll wait. And then it turns out the other way around to her disadvantage. So maybe sometimes it's better to have that break in time and go with the money management rules, which are already set.
As Robert says, you have to manage fear and greed to be successful.
Exactly, exactly. Yes, thank you for your comment. And you mentioned some moments ago the trading journal where you can go through the trades nicely and where you have the ability to even go back. Does that help you in your strategy to refine those details and to find maybe mistakes that shouldn't be there and things like that?
You realize the mistakes retrospectively where you made a bad trade. But in that regards, your business journal helps. I like the way your system is set up, that there's a certain limit to which you can go. And the system forces you to respect the limit, because then you can lose the account. And that's great. It's totally an unreal thing because you have to have discipline. Sometimes it forces you to do some other things that's triggered by greed. But that's where the trading journal steps in.
Well, I'm very happy about that, and I'm sure our developers are too, because they've been working on it for a long time to really make it as clear as possible and to really help as much as possible in the market, obviously focusing on how the market's doing and what to trade and which way to go. And on top of that, keeping a trading journal and looking for all kinds of stats and analysis elsewhere is very time-consuming and difficult. We're glad it's helping you, and I believe it would help others too. So I definitely recommend studying the trading journal, looking
Totally
into it
agree.
and using it. Because I've talked to traders who don't use it, but when they do, miracles start to happen because they suddenly understand more what the market is doing and what else they could possibly be doing, finding different ways they could trade.
I totally agree.
And thank you. I appreciate that because it's the practice that trained you. For me, it's more the theory, but with you, it's really the practice. And speaking of practice, what has your participation in EverTrader given you for the moment?
I think better decision making in the trades and on the journey overall, and setting the risk clearly. I've had risk set up before, but of course you say to yourself, I'm going to make an exception here for the account to grow and so on. But usually the account doesn't grow.
I get that. I really get it. And I appreciate it very much because I know that some people may think that the risks are too low, if I say it correctly, that they are very cruel, but on the contrary, they contribute to the healthy and strategic growth of the trader. What I'm hearing from those who are already watching risks exactly like you, they are always saying the total opposite, that they are helping and that the strategy has made it a lot easier for them and along their future trading journey.
That's right.
If I can ask you, Andrew, for your opinion, would you recommend EverTrader to even an advanced traders who have no capital or maybe to someone who is just starting out?
I would definitely recommend it to an advanced trader. And to someone who is just starting out, you do have some sort of training academy there, but I'd recommend that maybe before you start trading, just educate yourself for a month. Actually, I think you're allowing maybe the demo account without the risk, or I don't know if it's there now. I did, before I joined you guys, I did find out which platform you're trading on, and I downloaded it myself with a demo account and tried to get into it somehow by clicking through the app, just orienting inside. So as a beginner, you have a period of, I think, 60 days or something like that for the education. It's not quite enough time to start trading on a live account, but maybe for someone who has some discipline and can handle the psychological aspect. Maybe it's for the beginner too.
You said it beautifully. We have the academy there too. And I agree. Because of the feedback we have been receiving from the beginners to make us more accessible, that the academy is changing the period of time that people can take advantage of, and they don't have to actually launch and start trading right away. So I feel that even that period is extended now, but it is always good to check before you start as well what the exact conditions are. There might be some really exceptional conditions that occur sometimes. I've even seen unlimited time before the start, so it's good to check those conditions up front. And I'm glad you mentioned the academy because I believe that if a trader who is starting out goes through the academy, then he is I don't want to say fully ready, but he is ready to just enter the market and he knows what and how he can start trading. So the effort is definitely to make sure that we impart both knowledge and experience, but also the possibility of not big losses while you are still learning something, but still are able to get profits. So I guess that's a thing that I would definitely recommend to a beginner. Well, and as you said, for somebody who is advanced, I think it is also a very interesting opportunity because with that much capital, $100,000, $200,000, you can really come up with a lot of interesting strategies and make a lot of nice profits. So thank you very much for that comment. And I'm glad that you would recommend EverTrader, and I hope that you continue to do well and that maybe we'll see each other again next time and that you'll show me maybe even bigger profit growth. Maybe by then you've already taken advantage of our progressive plan and increased the trading capital. And I'll be thinking of you, hoping that you continue to do well and that you make your strategy even better and that everything works out great.
Thank you very much. And of course, I wish you well. It's an incredible project.
Thank you very much. We also greatly appreciate any praise you may have, but at the same time, we are very happy for any criticism you may have. And I say this quite openly because it moves us and helps us to make the conditions better for you in the market. And we're very grateful for your practical experience that you're passing on to us. So if you have anything you'd like to share, we would certainly be happy to work on it. And we appreciate whatever feedback you have for us. So Andrew, thank you for being part of this conversation today. And I think I've interviewed you a little bit. And next time we'll be looking forward to hearing from you and you will tell us how you've refined your strategy and how it's working for you. So thank you very much for the pleasant conversation.
Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day.
And to all of you who were part of it today, have a great day and a very successful trading journey, and see and hear from you all next time. Have a great day.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.